We are going to start off with a bang with arguably the best line of the entire race of Thunder Valley Round 3. We've got Hunter Lawrence hauling freaking butt, coming down the hill, racing with Jordan Smith, and watch him wheel tap, turning some roller braking bumps into a triple. Comes down here, comes to the inside. You'll see him hit the first one, lift the front wheel up, hit the rear wheel on the second one, and then rop over the next two big ones. How smooth was that? We'll watch that in real time. Just freaking awesome. I'm nicknaming Thunder Valley the Blip the Throttle track just because that's what all these professional guys were doing. We've got Deegan, who rode really well. He's on an off camber and he's coming in before a downhill, and he'll actually throw that motorcycle into a deep rut, and then he'll just blip the throttle to make it almost like a Bubba scrub where you're jumping the actual lip of the roller. You can see him just get a little bit of air, and notice how he's transitioning in one fluid motion to sit down, to leg out, to then prepare himself for the next uphill double. We'll watch that in real time. We're continuing with the theme. I need B-Mazy to drop a beep of blip that throttle, but I digress. You've got Deegan at the top of the hill by the Thunder Valley sign. Notice, before he drops to the downhill, he's going to do just that. Get into one of those ruts and use it as a jump. Blip down. Very smooth, just to keep jumping over here. So these factory guys are finding a way to make the track smooth. That's what sets them apart from a local pro or anything of that nature, because of their ability to find little itty bitty things like this to continue to be smooth, because the smoother you are, the less tight you're going to get, the more likely you're going to be able to continue to push throughout the moto. What's the next clip, guys? What's the next clip? It's Jordan Smith, and what is he going to do? He's going to blip the throttle at the top of the hill. You can see he's hauling ass because Hunter Lawrence is all over his ass, but watch him use one of these little braking bumps to boom, blip, and just kind of double down the hill as opposed to completely jumping down. And that way, when a rider does something like this, if he was just to jump off, as you can see Hunter, right? He's scrubbing, but you're going to gain more distance falling down. And what Jordan is doing, he's just using a little bump, to then get down to the ground faster, because you're not pushing your motorcycle forward if you're in the air. You got to get down on the ground as fast as possible. I have to 1000% agree with Stuart on this one. It was almost like he was inside my head figuring out what I was about to say, because I was going, man, I was telling the people that were at my house for the UFC fight that look at how slow Jet looks. He looks like he shouldn't be winning out front, and I won't even slow this down to talk about it because he's just so smooth, and the motor just sounds so laggy because he looks like he's out there for a trail ride, which that sets him apart from everyone else, because A, he's not using as much energy as the other riders, and B, it means he's got more in the tank of he's not trying 150%. So man, it's looking good for that 22-0. That's a good segue to today's video sponsor, PureMoto.com. Why work harder when you can do something more efficient? Because PureMoto is a giant network that big manufacturers use. You've got Renthal, you've got Michelin, you've got Alpine Star, you've got Dunlop that use PureMoto's unique network to get you as close as possible to your nearest dealer, so you can call ahead, order online, and hold product that is closest to you and help support small businesses. If you go to one of these websites, you will be using the PureMoto.com network. I recently pointed out Deegan going from a sitting position, landing while sticking your leg out into one fluid motion. I don't understand why little Hayden was doing this. This is at the midpoint of the track. You've got a tabletop before two S corners, and he sits down, right? And it's not so much to preload, but it's just because you're exiting a corner that has a lot of ruts. And he's setting up for the next left-hander, and so he sits down, but it's his inside left leg where either he's using it to shift down, which we may not be able to see here, but then he sticks his leg out and he takes the farthest inside rut behind Cooper. And I personally thought that potentially he could have gone faster if he just used one fluid motion of sit down, leg out, maybe not shift down, because if he was going to shift down, it would have been right there in the air. So I don't really get as to why he wouldn't stick his leg out right before he land. It's very subtle. It doesn't really make a difference, but I thought it was something to point out since I was pointing it out earlier. Oh, the good old Lakewood start, mile high start, where you're really starting in second gear. I don't know anybody that starts in first gear, and especially once you have traction on this metal gate, you could be literally wide open, right? Because typically how you start on dirt is if you don't have a lot of traction, you're going to be kind of half throttle. But if you have so much traction, you're going to want to slip that rear wheel. So you're going to want to be like wide open so that sucker doesn't grip so much and wheelie over backwards. Because of these metal gates, I really believe that there's no way these guys are starting in first gear. I've lived in Colorado my entire life, and I have never heard of anybody in 450s and big bikes starting in first gear. With that behind us, we can notice that the top qualifiers here between Jet, Ty, AC, and AP, they're all starting kind of right in the mid portion on the inside, which is really where you should be starting at Lakewood because of the sheer fact that this is off camber. You know, this is the farthest distance from here to here because just the angles, just a bigger difference if we're looking for circumference. But if we watch, this is the area that those riders were starting from, and they're all the guys that end up on the inside. I would much rather start way here and have to get pinched than try to start over here. The ideal spot is about 7 to 8 gate picks from the right of the box, and then added the next 5 or 6 from there. That is the sweet spot at Lakewood. So we just roll back here, and you watch those top guys and see where they came from, right? Right there. Super cool line by the privateer, Mr. Masterpool. He is this rider here, and this is the finish line. So you've got this nice off-camber corner, which I do like. But he is going to the outside where you constantly saw riders just go to the inside and then have a bunch of deep ruts to the inside standing up. But notice Ty, as he's going to hit the outside berm, and he's actually going to start wheeling to try to wheelie up over the hill. That front wheel is off the ground, boom, and he gets over it. Rop, boom. Not many people saw that. But again, it's all about being smooth on a track that this rough. And we'll stick with Ty for the last bit. So if you've made it this far, make sure you share this video, you stop by the comment section to see what I have missed, and then also hit that subscribe button because it helps this channel. I'm above 40,000. I couldn't have done it without you. So without further digression, we'll end it with the superstar Masterpool in his 450 debut for 2023 to almost getting on the podium. So you can see Cooper here, right? This is right before the area that Tomac ended up crashing and breaking his arm. You can see Cooper is actually sitting down through one of these deep ruts, and so it's going to bounce him, and he's going to get all stiff. But Ty is standing up, and we'll watch just how slow he just do. It's like the Jeopardy theme song. Around the entire thing, then rolls, then doubles. Perfect execution. Till next time, this is Johnny Hopper. Keep it WFO. Bra-da-da-da-da-da.